Back, we're talking about religion and its impact on the world. Good, bad, evil. We're joined here by our guest, evolutionary biologist, Professor Richard Dawkins. Richard, science is your great passion. And you're a great believer in science, you're an evangelist for science, a promoter and defender of science. But what would you say to those people who say there are some quite important questions, genuine questions, that science cannot answer? Why are we here? What's the meaning of life? Where does morality come from? And that if religion wants to have a crack at answering those, what's science's objection?
I'm not sure I'd accept that science can't answer those particular questions. I think there are other questions science probably shouldn't try to answer, like what is right and what is wrong. Those are questions that are not the immediate concern of science. But what's the meaning of life? Why is there anything? How did it all start? Those seem to me to be scientific questions, or potentially scientific questions. If there are some questions of that sort that science can never answer, then we should at least keep trying to answer them. And if science can't answer them, religion having a crack at answering them, if there's no reason to think that religion has any basis for an answer, then why would religion have a crack? Why would you bother to listen to religion having a crack at answering them? I mean, one thing I would say is there may be questions that science can't answer, like the origin of everything. But if science can't answer them, then religion certainly can't, and nothing else can either.
Why? Why is it it's either science or nothing?
Well, yes, because science is the method of getting at what's true. I mean, if you take something like how did the universe begin, which is a very baffling, deep question. How did life begin? Another baffling, deep question. Both those questions are unanswered. The best methods we have of approaching those are the methods of science, because these are the methods that look at evidence, that evaluate evidence in all sorts of sophisticated ways. What has religion got to do with that, other than just looking at the writings of somebody who wrote a few centuries ago? I mean, why would you bother to read those writings?
So the great philosophers and theologians in history who have grappled with these big questions and thought about spiritual issues, moral issues, the transcendent, they're all wasting their time?
Yes, they're wasting their time.
What about, why does my life have meaning? What's its worth?
Well,
where does my dignity come from?
Your meaning and your dignity are up to you, and mine are up to me, and these are not questions that science would attempt to answer. Each person finds their own meaning in their own life. And good luck to them.
And what's wrong with religion offering moral certainties, if, as you say, science can't answer moral questions?
Science can't offer moral certainty, but I don't see that religion can either.
You don't think that the religious values we have today, the moral codes we live by today, were originally derived from Judeo-Christian values, Islamic values, Hindu values?
Not really, no. I mean, things like the Golden Rule, things like treat others as you would wish to be treated yourself. These are ancient values which crop up all over the world. They've been adopted by many religions. You can find justifications for them in moral philosophy. You can find justifications for them in evolutionary biology, which is my own subject. I don't seriously think you're going to base your morality on religion, because if you do, then you've got to say, well, do I base it on Scripture? I hope you don't base it on Scripture, because if you do, then you're going to have some pretty horrible values unless you deliberately cut out those parts of Scripture which are unacceptable to modern morality.
Do you believe science is omnipotent, that it can answer all questions?
I've already said no. I've already said it can't answer moral questions. But questions about the real world, questions about reality, questions about the origins of things, why life is the way it is, why the world is the way it is, why the universe is the way it is, yes, science is the way to answer that.
Some of your critics have argued that you are willing to hold religion up to put it under the microscope, hold it to account, scrutinize it, criticize it. You don't do the same to science or scientists or some of the bad things that have come out of science.
Well, bad things that come out of science, if by that you mean horrible weapons.
Nuclear weapons,
yes,
gas chambers,
Weapons,
eugenics.
yeah. These are terrible things which are technology that arises out of science, and it's certainly true that if you want to do terrible things, with technology, with terrible weapons, for example, science is the best way to do it, because science is the best way to do anything. And
even bad things.
Even bad things. I mean, that's right. If you want to develop a terrible weapon, you're not going to do it in any other way than by science. The trick is not to want to develop a terrible weapon, and that's a political decision.
And you do not see science and religion as occupying two different compartments that can live side by side. They are in conflict with one another.
Insofar as religion attempts to talk about reality and has an alternative vision of reality, I think they are incompatible, yes.